Yo, what is good, Seas fans? It's Nathan here, aka the Boston Brit. Just before we hop into the pod, me and Tom have been advised by Carol from PR that, this pod may contain some cheeky language. So we kind of have to tell you that before you jump in. So if you're sensitive, well, it's probably best you missed the pod. But anyway, let's jump straight into it. Welcome to That UK Celtics Podcast.
Tatum drives, George right there. Tatum gets a wide open look and knocks it down. Jason Tatum ties the game. Watch out for the three. There it goes. It's blocked by Tice. Brown for the tie. Oh, what a miracle here at TD. Oh, Walker broke ankles. Sauce. Let's go! Anything's possible. Anything's possible. Champions once again.
What's happening, people? Welcome to the first ever episode of That UK Celtics Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Wade. You may know me as an NBA writer. You may know me as the host of the NBA 2K UK Fantasy League, or you may know me as the guy on Twitter that just never stops. Like I said, this is the That UK Celtics Podcast. It is a Celtics-based podcast. If you're wondering why I've got this up here, you're going to find out very shortly. But at this moment in time, I'd like to introduce to you my co-host, and that is Nath Monday, a.k.a. the Boston Brit. What's good, Nath?
Good, man. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just trying to live life as best I can in this time,
Yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, I reckon we should jump straight into our guest, man. So this guest has been a Cardiff City player who I actually support since 2012. I've gone through the highs, I've gone through the lows of him as a fan, obviously. And he has been a great servant to the club, and it's really, really awesome that we have him on our pod. So without further ado, Matt Connolly, how are you, man?
I'm great, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. Okay, so obviously, I mean, how are you coping with Rona season at the moment? I know you're into it, but...
Yeah, it's tough for everybody, isn't it, really? Our main concern is getting fit or whatever for whenever the season starts again. But, of course, there's people in way different situations and tougher than us. So it's been all right. We were given a date initially, like when we might be back in, so you start getting fit for that, and then it gets pushed back and back. So at the moment, it's difficult to gauge how hard to work and this time, and because it's still going to be training before games start again anyway.
Yeah. So when are you? Yeah. So when are you looking to come back? Are you looking to come back this season? Are you, or is it going to be?
I don't know what's going to happen with football. That's just up in the air at the moment. But I think the plan is to try and get in towards the end of May and then train and then carry on the games. But at the moment, you just don't really know what's going to happen, do you?
Yeah, it's a crazy time.
Do you Matt, have you got a certain schedule that you stick to when you're at home, and you work towards, and what's it like for you personally, knowing coming off an injury, you're obviously chomping at the bit to get back into playing, and you get a date that you're given, and then all of a sudden, obviously it's out of our control, but then you get hit with actually stick to the same plan, but we're gonna have to do it for a certain amount of time again.
Yeah, it's tough because we've been given programs and stuff to stick to, and we've been doing that, and then obviously then you said the date gets kicked back, so then it's difficult. Do you take some time off and then you carry on going again and things like that? But I've got a badminton net, a goal post. I've just got a basketball hoop in my garden as well. So I'm just doing all kinds of stuff, just,
keeping fit. So I mean, I think it'd be rude not to talk a little bit about your career since you've come on. I mean, obviously I'm a Cardiff fan, so like I said, I've been through the highs and the lows. I mean, what's been your highlight of of being a professional footballer? Because I understand, in terms of you kind of got a similar limelight in terms of some of the NBA players, and just being a professional athlete. I mean, that's crazy in itself. I always wanted to be a footballer, to be fair, when I was younger. Never worked out, but anyway, I mean, what's been your career highlight so far?
The Cardiff promotion the first time round, was it 12-13 that season?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was there. Yeah. I ran onto the pitch.
That was a great season, man. I mean, we had such a good team, and I think then, like, you know, your Instagrams and your Twitters and things weren't so big then, and like it was just a real solid dressing room, and everyone got on, and we all talked, we all played, we all met after training, or we all played darts at training, and it was just like everyone was just like solely then football, and you know,
I mean,
it's changed a bit now, but like that, those times just magnificent.
I mean, yeah, it was awesome. I always remember driving up to the game, because I lived like 2 hours away from Cardiff, because basically my best friend, he moved to Connolly when I was younger, and I used to go visit him, and that's when I kind of became a Cardiff fan, really, because he used to take me to some of the games at Ninian.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I remember travelling to that game being hella nervous, because all we needed was a draw out of it, I believe it was.
Yeah, it was a draw, yeah.
Yeah, and it was, to be fair, it was such a tight game, and we got the draw in the end. But I mean, it was.
We were so far ahead anyway. We weren't going to screw that up, so it was just like a case of getting it done. But obviously, Cardiff had messed up so many times previously. When I was at QPR and us in Cardiff were top and second for a lot of the season, we went up, you lot fell behind and things, and that's just the way it goes, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome. I always remember running onto the pitch. There's actually a video of me. I'll send it to you sometime. But it's actually me running onto the pitch and falling over. Because I completely forget that you wet the grass so much, don't you? And I ran straight on with some normal night trainers and slipped straight on my back, and I just led there for like 10 minutes. Just led there. It was awesome.
That was a great time. That was. It was a shame the Malky stuff, and we got relegated again. But
that was tough. Like even from the outside looking in, that was tough. The Malky Mackay situation was tough, man.
But I mean, like, to be fair, that season was, even though we went down, it was pretty magical, to be honest.
Yeah, I think if he stayed, I think we would have stayed up, in my opinion.
100%.
I think in between him leaving and then Ollie coming in, it was like it was too big a time. We lost a bit of ground then, and then it's just tough from there on, really.
Like I'm a Cheltenham Town fan, so I can't really relate to you guys. The only thing I can relate is like I'm an hour away from Cardiff, so that's the only thing. But like with the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer thing, I think it was a bit like he is now at Manchester United. I think it was just the wrong fit, the wrong fit, and it wasn't the right thing to do. And like obviously the whole Malky thing was just messy and it was horrible. But like I think that was the biggest downfall there.
I think so many teams do it wrong though. Like you get promoted and they think immediately, oh, we're going to spend a ton of money here, or we'll sack the manager and then we'll, you know what I mean? And then you end up getting relegated or what have you. You've got a manager you don't really want anymore. You've got players who want to be in the Premier League who are stuck on huge contracts in the Championship, and then you end up just falling down. Like Fulham did it recently. The best example of doing it well is like Burnley. Like they went up and down a couple of times, but they kept the same team. Then when they come down, they bought like Andre Gray for 9 million or whatever, who scored you goals, got you back up, and then they're established now. They're fine.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, like that season had some really nice highlights. I mean, like beating Man City, that was awesome. I sent you the video the other day, didn't I? Like
that was such a tough game, that one, man.
And that must have been crazy for you as well. That must have been crazy for you, Matt, really, because like. If you get two sides of it, don't you? You get the physically drained and you get the mentally drained because you're so...
Yeah, it was. It's like you concentrate non-stop. Like one mistake and then they score. So it's like you are mentally shattered. But it was so hot that day as well.
Yeah, well,
I remember Craig Bellamy played in front of me that day, and Clichy was just running up and down, and me and him were just... The thing is, we went 1-0 down, and I was thinking, crap, this could be 4 and 5 here. Like,
where's it going to go?
Honestly, one of the best games I've witnessed. Definitely, it was awesome.
Yeah, that was probably the best atmosphere I played in that game, I think.
Yeah, it was awesome. Right, should we jump into some basketball chat? I feel like we need to do some basketball chat. Might as well.
Right, yeah, I'll take this one. Matt, obviously, if you can't tell, guys, for the guys that are watching, if you're listening, it'll probably be a bit harder. But as you can see from behind me, like I said earlier, it's a Celtics podcast. You know, you're thinking, why have you got that up there? But we'll get to that. Matt, first things first, like, why the NBA? What brought you to watching that's just so time zone wrong for us?
Yeah, this is the thing. I was actually in Vegas. I think it was 12-13, and it was the Spurs Heat game. finals.
Yeah.
And me and my pals were like, oh, you know, we chill before we go out. So we ended up watching the game. And from then, like, it was just such a good game. From then on, like, we were just like, we watched every game of that series. And I got back to England and I was like, right, I need to, I'll buy the NBA season pass. So I bought that and then just started watching it religiously, like, non-stop.
Yeah.
It's just like, how good is the season pass to, like, watch one game, it goes to timeout, you're like, oh, I'll quickly see what's going on in this game. Click on the next game and it's instant, like, you're then watching another game.
It is good. Like, especially
no other sport, like NFL does it similarly, but just to be online at like 2 a.m, go, oh shit, timeout, boom, next game.
Yeah, to be fair, it's amazing because it never used to be like that. I mean, I used to remember when I used to have to watch videos on YouTube in like 2005 to watch some of the Celtic stuff. It was weird how how the games kind of just developed and how it got into a bigger stage. But it's crazy how you say that because you watch the Heat and the Spurs. But like Tom said, I mean, Tom's got a Thunder jersey behind him. I mean, what made you choose the Thunder? How come you didn't choose the Celtics? I feel like we're going to try and convert you in this. We're going to try and convert you in.
Russell Westbrook, man, he was just. Yeah. I just watched that. Like, I watched a few Thunder games or what have you. Like, I watch any games, even now. Like, I'll log on at midnight when I should be sleeping. Really, I'll be like, oh, I'll just quickly watch like Hawks against somebody. I like watching Trae Young. So anyway, that season I first started watching, I was just like watching the Thunder. And just the whole, like, it's a small kind of area, you know, like no other sports things. The fans are like relentless there, like they love it. And I just saw Westbrook, Kevin Durant, and I was like, oh, I'll go with them.
Yeah, to be fair, you can't really argue.
People hate Westbrook, but like people hate Westbrook or they disagree with how he plays or what have you. But you can never say shies away from taking a shot or he goes 100 miles per hour every single night. And like for 82 games, that's just incredible.
Yeah,
I mean, there's always games where you think, like, you know, might play Kings away on a Tuesday night and you just be like, there's nothing really on the game. But he's 100 miles per hour, every rebound, every assist, shoot. So it's just fun.
Yeah,
we've had some ups and downs. But
it is, and like one thing there for me, you just mentioned Westbrook. Like, exactly what you're saying. Like, Westbrook's just so explosive, and like the season he won the MVP and he was averaging a triple double. Like a lot of people, like you say, a lot of people are like, they don't enjoy that side of basketball because he's just all stat sheet. But the thing is, for me, and I don't know about you, but with Westbrook, I think like people are quite harsh on him because the people that are criticising him and what he does, they'll be the same people that'll be loving what LeBron James does if he goes and does the same thing every night. So it's a bit like, you know what I mean?
You get a lot of the token gesture fans who will just, you know, Lakers will play on a Sunday night and then LeBron will do a great dunk or get a triple-double and then you get, oh, LeBron's a hero. But they don't watch any of the other games or any of the other players. They're just like, that's LeBron. I don't hate LeBron. LeBron's great, man. You can't criticise the guy. He's still going at 35, 36. But,
I mean, there are so many underrated players in the NBA anyway. I mean, like, you know, you've got those, for example, like a prime example, not of underrated, but I mean of like media hyped. Obviously, you've got LeBron. He is always media hyped. Zion as well. Obviously, he's coming to the league and he is super media hyped. I honestly believe Ja Morant is going to have a better career than Zion. I honestly believe that.
I just can't understand the amount of pressure that was on Zion's first game. Because obviously he's injured and stuff. Like everyone was watching that game, and I felt for him after 3 quarters because it wasn't really going his way. Then he hit a couple of threes, and I was thinking, like, good for him.
Yeah. It was crazy because I remember at the rookie media event, wasn't it, where you had all of the media were just interviewing the players. And there was a clip, there was a picture of I can't remember who the other player was, which kind of speaks volumes, doesn't it? But everyone from the media was on Zion. They were literally just on him, and then he was just sat on his own with no one around him. Like, it just goes to show that, you know, the type of, you're going to see what type of player he is, because if he can handle that and he can bottle that, then I mean, he's going to be a great player. Don't get me wrong, but
I don't disagree with the Ja Morant comment because he's been great. I don't love Memphis because I've always, I don't know. I like Zach Randolph and them back in the day.
But imagine if Ja Morant was on a roster that had some weapons. You know what I mean? Imagine him on on, I don't know, I'm going to say it, imagine if he was on the Celtics or something like that. Like, obviously, we've got Kemba, so we don't need to worry. No. Kemba is our guy. Kemba is our guy.
Not for me. Not for me, personally.
Kemba's good, man. I like him.
Yeah. And that's what I like about Kemba. And I'm not firing shots to, but it's been a different Celtics this season, and that's exactly
I like watching the Celtics. Jason Tatum's been fantastic.
I mean, he's
really stepped up, to be fair.
Yeah, he's passed expectations. I mean, even Jaylen Brown, because like when I was on NBC at the start of the season, I said to Carl and Scal that they asked me, who's going to have to step up this season, and I said, well, Jaylen Brown. We've just paid him big money.
Yeah,
we paid him a big contract especially with his performances last season. They were so up and down, and majority of them were quite poor. But he's obviously coming to this season. He's been incredible. Him, Jason, and Gordon. I think Gordon's quite underrated. I mean, I love Gordon Hayward.
He goes about his business quietly, doesn't he? Really,
he does. He's a really quiet
rebounds
guy.
And assists, and then he can light it up every now and then. But yeah, he's done well. The injury was so bad.
That was so bad.
I stayed up for that game, and I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a great opening night." That injury happened, and I kind of just went to bed because I was like, it's not going to be the same game. The atmosphere of the whole thing just dropped. It was horrible. That was.
I mean, I've never seen Celtics Twitter. Yeah. Do you remember it, Tom? Yeah, because I mean, like Celtics Twitter just went into meltdown and was like, "That's it, our season's over." Wow. This kind of thing, because he was, he come from Utah, being an incredible, he was incredible in Utah for the team that he had around him. So him coming into us with Kyrie, and just having some weapons around him, we thought, honestly,
do you like Kyrie or not?
Not anymore. I have got, to be fair, I mean, I've still got his signed jersey on my wall because he signed it for me when they came to London. So I got to respect his game, but I mean, most of us Boston fans, he ruined what could have been a banner 18 season. I think he ruined it.
I was interested to see how him and KD would work, but obviously we'll have to wait.
We never know. We might see that now. We might see that because KD might be coming back if the season.
If the season started afresh, they could be up. They could be all right, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Harris LeVert's nice. Dinwiddie's nice.
Yeah.
It's an interesting dynamic between them two, because I mean, Kyrie is a diva. That is probably how you would describe him. I mean, he's a really odd character. Like when I met him, I spoke to him. He was a nice guy, but he was just really odd. I mean, how he is in terms of when he talks about the flat Earth and all that nonsense. Like he is that kind of like spiritual. He's a bit odd. He's an intense character. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. But that's the person he is, I suppose. But like, obviously, moving away from that, I mean, I could speak about that guy all night long. And like I said, I respect his game, but I just don't respect him like what he did. You don't come out in front of TD Garden, packed out TD Garden, say I'm staying, and then just disrupt the whole year. So we'll just move on from Kyrie. Throwing it back to you though, Matt. Like, obviously, he's probably one of my unfavourite players ever to play for the Celtics. But for you, as an OKC fan, like, looking at, like, you've had some really good players, and you have got some really good players now. You got Chris Paul, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who could be a star. Like maybe like all time and maybe right now. But who would you say is your personal favorite out? Like who's played for OKC?
I don't like to say it, but Kevin Durant was just like, he was so good, man. Like, it was obviously shocking when he left because of who he went to. But like, I just thought him and Westbrook could have worked if he'd just taken the lead a bit more. Like, people say, Westbrook, took the shot too, like, down the back straight too much. But KD's got to demand that and just take over. Like, he's a better scorer, better shooter, everything like that. But ultimately, like, he was great. Like, he would score 50 regularly. Like, no one can stop that guy.
No, I mean, he's
great shooter. Can do everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like 9 times out of 10, if you want one player, if you were to name 3 players, like you got championship on the line, last shot of the game, you're throwing Kevin Durant into that conversation.
Yeah, I'm giving him the ball.
Yeah.
Steven Adams also. I really like Steven Adams.
I like
partly because he just turns up in flip flops and shorts and a vest, and he doesn't care. Like, So I mean, like, it just plays, he likes playing. And,
his nickname for me, I mean, he's Mr. Consistent. Like he'll always do a job for you, no matter what.
Yeah.
He'll always
I think
do
people
his shit.
thought he would have stepped up more this season. He would have done a bit more this season. But I think Chris Paul's helping everybody.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people wrote the Thunder off before the season started. But if you look at the pieces, they've got, like you said, Shea, Dennis Schroeder off the bench, Gallinari, Adams, Noel. That's a good side. Like, there's points there. There's good defense as well. I was a bit gutted we got rid of Jeremy Grant at the time. Thought he's a good athlete and he can score as well.
Good role player. A good player that you can have on the team.
Yeah, good pickup for Denver, I thought. Yeah, peak Thunder when they had like Serge, Kendrick Perkins, Russ, KD. That was a good side. But I'm a huge Paul George as well, man. I didn't mind the trade Oladipo and Sabonis. I like Sabonis as well, actually, but I didn't mind the trade them two for Paul George. I think they had to try and do something to like make a run for it.
The West is stacked now. So I mean, like you're gonna need some weapons. I mean, like I was gonna say, like when you were talking about KD, I mean, like when you had KD, Russ, and Harden. I mean, imagine if they stayed together.
I think when Harden won the MVP, I thought that was him at his peak. But now, like, it's just dribble, step back three, dribble, step back three. Like, it's just a bit like
push to the paint, go to free throw line.
And it's like Clint Capella. Like, obviously they traded him now, but at the time it's like him grab a rebound threat for somebody, they shoot a three. Like, I just don't really like watching Houston anymore.
No,
I think Harden, like, peak MVP, like he was great and he did a bit of everything, got assists, and now like it's just the same move. Like, it is unstoppable and it works.
Yeah,
he shot really badly from three this year, I think.
Yeah, he had a really difficult start to the season, to be fair. And like obviously with Russ now, Russ is there now at the Rockets. And
I think Russ carried him a fair bit at times.
I'd say that too. They sort of, especially through the first 15 games of the season, James Harden was shooting horrendous from behind the line, and it was just like, wow, like has the impact of having a player like Russ come in to help him out really been too much for him?
Yeah, I think like Russ just gave up on shooting threes, and he drives to the basket. He gets a foul, gets a dunk, or he scores.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, so obviously you're a OKC fan. I mean, do any of the other guys in the Cardiff locker room follow the NBA?
I've always had one with me. Like, Fabio at first. He supports Charlotte Hornets. Hornets. I don't know why.
Probably because of MJ.
Because of Kemba.
Yeah, he loved Kemba. He liked Kemba Walker and all them guys, and like,
it might be the MJ. It might be the MJ thing. The MJ connection with them.
Yeah.
And then he obviously left, but now Junior Hoylett, Canadian, loves Toronto Raptors, but he also loves LeBron, so he stays up a lot and watches the games as well. So we always chat about it.
I was going to say that. Do you guys find yourself after training or whatever, or even when you're at home and you're at downtime? Do you talk to each other about the games and stuff like that?
I will be sitting there ready for a game to start, say midnight, and then I get a text from Junior. He's like, "Oh, what are you saying about the game tonight?" And I'll be like, "Shit, you're still up." I was injured, so I was like, "I'm going to stay up and watch games." I didn't really sleep. I was just like, "I'll just stay up because I don't only got like physio in the morning or what have you." Yeah. And then he's obviously got training.
Well,
I better not tag. I better not tag Cardiff in this.
Yeah, we text each other about that.
And the funny thing is, like with Junior, he's probably, like you said, staying up late, but he's still one of the most explosive players on the pitch. Like next day.
He's a very good player. He's an even better guy, to be fair. So when the season finishes, we were hoping Toronto got in the playoffs and we can go and watch them. Like, I'd go over there with him and that, but we'll see what happens.
Well, to be fair, we'll end up doing a London NBA watch party at some point again. We're supposed to have one. I mean, definitely you have to bring some of the guys down and do that, and just sit with some of us UK fans and just
the UK movement's going well.
Yeah. I mean, it's been amazing. So since I started my thing. Since I started my thing, that was like a year and a half ago now. As you know, I didn't really know anyone, and the scene was, I mean, Tom could probably agree with this. The scene wasn't very active, was it? But now, I mean, within the year and the next past year and a half, it's gone crazy. It's kind of blown up. Loads
everyone's got a UK fan page apart from like Utah. I don't know if I've got one now, actually.
Oh, do you know what? Actually, funny you say that. I was looking on the NBA UK fans. Shout out to those guys. They're doing some great things. I was looking at the NBA UK fans page on Twitter the other day, and there was actually a guy, and shout out to him, I don't know his name. He actually had a Deron Williams Jazz top on. So I actually commented on a meme saying they actually exist. They are alive. Because no, they're the only ones.
I hate Utah. They were so boring. Like a few years ago, they just defended, and it was like it killed Thunder in the playoffs as well.
Well, I mean, it's like well, I mean, like it's like so basically, like, I understand from what I know anyway that the most followed team apparently in the UK is the Orlando Magic. I find that crazy.
Geraint and a few of them guys.
Yeah. That's all to do with Disneyland.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's all blows and whistles, mate. It's all Disneyland.
Obviously, they won Game 1, didn't they, against Toronto, and then they just flopped.
Yeah.
It's what they always do. They just
So obviously, Matt, like we were saying, you're OKC, but like you say, like earlier, you watch games and stuff. Do you find yourself secretly watching a certain other team, or is it just like general? Or do you actually look at is there one other team aside from OKC you'd say, do you know what? If I had to choose another team, this would be those?
I think I'd go Portland.
Yeah.
Dame's a joke, man.
I was expecting Boston.
Yeah.
Come on, Matt.
I was trying.
I don't know. I just find myself watching Portland quite a bit. I like CJ as well. He's a smooth player. And they're always like
very well, don't they?
Yeah, they're high scoring as well. Like there's a lot of scoring and stuff. I like them. Trae Young, Atlanta Hawks. I don't think I really support them because they're terrible, but Trae's a good watch because he can just go off like instantly.
Just one of the most, like, as a young kid, like he is going to be one of the best point guards that's been, because for me, he's got everything. You know, he can shoot the free, he's got the length.
His passing is so good, man.
He hasn't got any game. He hasn't got any game on Daniel Tice, though, has he? No, he has not.
No, not Daniel Tice.
They have John Collins as well. I like him from Atlanta.
Yeah,
very good. Very good.
They just got Clint Capella as well, so it'll be interesting. But yeah,
I don't think Clint will stay. I think Clint will move on though. He's not going to stay in Atlanta. He'll be gone at the end of in the post season, definitely. I think
I'd go with Portland if I had to, even though Dame killed us last year as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And I was actually not going to mention it, and I said to Nate earlier, "Can I mention it, or will you go mad at me?"
You know what? I was I was watching that game, and it was so late. It was like 4:30 or something. It started at 3, but 4:30, 5, he nailed that shot. And I was just such in awe about the shot that I was just like, oh, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And we were up by like 10 with about 2 minutes to go, and we ruined it.
That's it. And it's actually it's a year to this exact date that he hit that shot. I don't want to rub it in, but it was a year today. It was a year today. And
it was a great shot. Wow. It was a great shot, but if he didn't make it, then it would have just been tie, go to overtime. So realistically,
yeah. And my brother's a Portland fan, so I'm sure he'll appreciate that. Shout out to my brother Scott. Like, he's a Portland fan, and like, if I wasn't Celtics, I probably would. Like, I did an interview recently.
I wanted Portland. I was hoping Portland would get the 8th seed this year, but it doesn't. I think Memphis will do it.
I don't know. Just like you said, it depends on what happens from here on out. It's a bit like your situation. Like, the guys obviously don't know what the hell's going to go on. We're in two different parts of the world. It's just, everything's just crazy. But I mean,
do you think they'll finish it or not?
Personally, I don't know. I think the longer it drags on, the more likely we are to look at a situation where we go straight into playoffs. But the problem is, if you do that, like you just said there, Portland has still got a hope. Maybe it's slim. Mm-hmm. They've still got a hope of getting the 8th. So if they say, right, we'll call it as it is now, people are going to feel aggrieved. Like, a bit like with the Championship and the Premier League now. If they call both off, like, what happens? Like, Leeds have been fighting for years to get in the Premier League. I love the fact that they probably wouldn't. No offense to anybody. But, like, you know what I mean? So it's a bit like guys are fighting. There's so much on the line. And if they were to
I think the thing that the NBA has in its favour is it has more of a gap between the end of season to the start of the next season in football. So they have 12 weeks or something.
Yeah, and like the other issue is as well is that, you know, I was speaking to some of the guys at the Celtics, and like the amount of money that each franchise is losing right now is ridiculous. Like they are losing so much money because, you know, most people don't understand the amount of money that's in the NBA. It's absolutely astronomical. So
they could also shorten next season as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think that's one thing they could do.
Which is what they've been pushing for years, to reduce the length of the season. So maybe that's the trial there, and then we might.
I'm not sure I want the reduction of games. I understand it because there's a lot of games that don't mean anything.
But they might do something different with the playoffs, though, because they I know they were on about for ages changing the playoff setup and just messing around with it. But I don't know whether this is probably the best time for them to kind of start looking at doing something with it. I mean, it's just,
they were going to do something like the Summer League, weren't they? They were going to do like the Summer League.
But I honestly believe that they'll play the games. I don't think. Thing is, they won't want to play them behind closed doors because they're losing revenue anyway. But I think
behind closed doors for basketball will be terrible. I think football you can get away with it, but the crowd makes basketball so much better.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I went to the NBA London game actually, and obviously it was the Knicks and the Wizards, the last one, and it was just insane of how, like, I get it because there's nobody in the arena, but you get the Knicks fans and stuff like that, but it's not like the local guys that go week in, week out. It was a bit like the whole, like, you watch it on the telly and you're like, wow, the atmosphere was great, but that's because it's all speakers and stuff like that. I just feel if they try and generate that without having fans there, it's just not going to be the same.
You go to London and it's just like, I don't think half the people know what's going on.
No, I mean, well, the atmosphere.
So many touts just buy tickets and then just sell them on, like.
Yeah, of course they do. They take advantage of it, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, so have you been to an OKC game yet, or?
Yeah, I went to. They played a pre-season game in Manchester, like probably 6 or 7 years ago. I can't even remember who it was against, but I went to watch that. I've been to the Boston Philly game in London. That was a good game.
That was an awesome game.
No, but as soon as obviously my career will end soon, I'm 32, 33, and then my aim is to then travel. I'll go east and watch 3 or 4 games in different cities, then go west, watch 3 or 4, and I'll just go and watch as much as I can.
Yeah, definitely. That would be kind of cool, to be fair.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, it's something that I've always wanted to do, is just travel across them, or obviously go watch the Celtics, but just travel with them, go see a few games. And
I think the Celtics, the atmosphere at the Celtics looks the best.
I mean, honestly, it's nothing that you'll ever experience, man. Honestly, if you ever get a chance to go watch like OKC in Boston at TD, 100% do it. I mean, it is a crazy atmosphere. The fans are fun as well. The fans are a good laugh. Even if you're the away team, they'll still chew your head off a little bit. But I mean, they are great. They're great fans. They're funny. They are funny people.
They look hardcore in Boston.
Yeah, they are.
They definitely are.
Yeah. And that's, again, like you just touched there, that's a nice thing about the sport as well. Like Matt, yourself being a Thunder fan, we're Celtics fans. I know Magic fans. I know Bulls fans. But like the general thing around it all is it's not one bad thing. Everybody respects everybody because it's like we all love a game, and that's the one thing I will admit. Like it's different from any other sport.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
it's not like
when you see the
here.
players on Instagram and stuff, they're Insta storying each other, like, and you see, like, for example, Isaiah Thomas or Jamal Crawford. Them guys haven't been in the league. Well, for Isaiah Thomas, not so much recently, but obviously Jamal Crawford's been gone for a season or whatever. They're like desperate to play again. All the players who now can't play because of coronavirus want to play. Like, you can see how much them guys love it.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'd happily take IT back into Boston. I mean, we need some scoring off the bench. I mean, Brad Wanamaker with his free throws aren't doing it for me at the moment.
No, I mean, I'm trying on IT, but I ain't got nowhere yet. I'll be honest.
Do you think IT will come back in the league or not?
Yeah, I think he will. I mean, he'll end up somewhere, but I don't know whether. I mean, I think there's too many bridges burnt with us. Do you mean I fully respect like that? You know, he loves the fans, but would he want to play for our organisation again? Probably not. And I understand his reasons, but I mean, like he'd probably end up at somewhere I don't know, he might end up at Atlanta. He might end up somewhere where, you know, he's very useful. He'll get loads of minutes, and he can just kind of run out his career. I think that's probably where IT's going. I reckon.
I'm surprised nobody picked up Jamal Crawford because he scores for fun, man.
Still a shooter. Like, that's what I love, man. It's so different from like your footballers, and like those guys are just like, they can like look at LeBron, like you said about earlier, like LeBron. Those guys just age and they just don't seem to ever drop off. It's just crazy. Like, guys like Jamal Crawford
just score for fun, man. That's one of my other favourite players, Lou Williams.
Lou Williams, probably the best sixth man ever.
Happy being sixth man, comes on, scores, sits back down, comes on, scores. Him and Montrez have got it going on, to be fair.
Well, if I had to choose a player outside the Celtics organisation who, you know, I like, who I respect and I like, it's probably Derrick Rose. I mean, think about his career. You know, the way he's come back, he kind of went out and come back, all of the stuff he's gone through. I mean, I saw his documentary. I watched it again the other day where there was a clip of, you know, where he was having an interview and he got the phone call saying that he was getting traded away from Chicago. And he just burst into tears. It just goes to show what kind of like guy he is, what the kind of athlete he is. Yeah, man, he's an awesome guy, awesome player. I mean, like I would have loved to have had him on the Celtics at some point. I mean, he's
those injuries are a shame, man.
Yeah, man, 100%. And I mean, like, obviously that's going to swiftly move on to our next question for you, Matt. I mean, like, what has been your favourite OKC kind of memory? Do you know what I mean? What has been, like, has anything stood out to you where you've gone, yeah, you know what, like, I'm going to remember that for years to come?
It's tough because so many games that have been like highlight or like huge games we've ended up losing. Like, you know, when Curry drilled that long free, like, bang,
I remember that.
Lillard. And then playoff games, we normally get stung as well. Like, you know, like when we were beating the Warriors 3-1, like them 3 games were like, I was sitting there thinking, oh, I've done this here. Like, Steven Adams was like rocketing passes and that. Like Robertson was nailing threes, and I was thinking, like, this is it. Like, we've done it here. Yeah. And just like, then it just falls to pieces, which has obviously been a shame. Yeah. Over the last few years, like, we've not had much. Like, obviously, the Portland in the playoffs. We are 4-0 up in the regular season, 4-0. You'd think to beat them. Got battered 4-2.
That just shows playoff basketball is different.
Yeah, Utah beat us quite comfortably as well. We were 25 down in one game and come back. But I think like the run when we were 3-1 up against the Warriors, because we beat the Spurs before that, they were good games. 3-1 up against the Warriors, then Clay just taught us a lesson. Yeah, there's a lot of games I love, but they didn't really lead to much. You know what I mean?
I just wanted to touch you. Obviously, we spoke about Derrick Rose there getting injured. Like, somebody you haven't mentioned, and I believe he's one of the best players on the OKC roster in terms of your defense. Like Andre Robertson. Like you got to think he was missing. He's been missing a hell of a lot for your team.
I know,
He's a role player. Like talking like how Derrick Rose is a player that you like. He's a player that I get you'd probably like to just like, you know, like strengthen yourself a little bit.
Yeah, he's almost forgotten about, really, isn't he? Like, you know, everyone talks about other players who are injured or bad injuries. Because he's been so long, like, nobody really talks about him. I think he was a big miss, like, especially when we had Paul George, Westbrook, and that team. Because imagine him and Paul George defending. Yeah. Obviously, Steven Adams then as well. We would have actually been much better defensively against Portland and probably would have won the series.
But so I mean, things could have been different.
Didn't have him. But yeah, he's a huge miss. It's a shame he just couldn't really shoot threes, because in some games people were just leaving him open.
Yeah, exactly.
They were giving it to him and he just wouldn't hit them. But when he did hit them, he was on fire in a few games.
I just always remember Dame's face. Dame's face is going to be iconic for a long time. The greatest meme of all time.
Him and Westbrook go at each other and stuff, but they follow each other on Instagram. They're obviously friends. Like, I like the way they're competitive. Yeah. It looks like they hate each other, but they clearly obviously like each other and they respect how each other plays.
Massively. They got mad respect for each other, haven't they? I suppose it's
I think they high-fived after one Houston game v Portland this year. Or they hugged at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I think Russ scored 40 and Dame scored 50 or whatever. But
Yeah, there's always a respect there between those guys. And that's what I love about it as well. Like we said about the fans with the respect, the players are exactly the same. And that's what's good. But no, so
even Joel Embiid and Towns had a little scuffle, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then Embiid tweeted about Towns' mum's obviously got ill and then passed away, but you can see on court they want to win, and then afterwards it's all right.
Oh, it's different with Marcus and Joel, isn't it? Marcus has pushed him, hates him.
I love Marcus Smart, man. Give me Marcus Smart on any team.
That was going to be my next question. Like, if you could take one Celtics player and put him on the OKC Thunder today, who would you take?
Of course, obviously Tatum's probably going to be my pick, but Marcus Smart, man, I always liked him. He can obviously knock down threes, puts his body on the line, defends hard, plays hard. I like Marcus Smart.
I mean, to be fair, Marcus. To be fair, Marcus is my favourite player. I mean, he's a different beast. He's so underrated as well, in a lot of ways. But I mean, he kind of made a name for himself this season with his 11 threes in one game, which is a Celtics record.
He's like a 10 times better version of Pat Beverley, really, isn't it? He's an annoying player for other teams, but he's great and he can score as well.
He is a very annoying character, to be fair. I don't know about you. I watched the 2K. I don't know if you watched the 2K thing that the guys did.
Oh, I saw some highlights of that,
Yeah. But Pat Beverley
just stormed off at the end, didn't he?
Yeah, just no chill. The guy is just flat out just crazy. But I love that. He is a good player.
I like him. Like, he gets in people's faces and that. He did some bad stuff when he chopped at Russ when it was a timeout and things. I didn't really enjoy it. He annoys people. He puts you off your game. And if he's on your team, you love that. But if he's against you, you think, what an idiot and stuff. I like Embiid. I like that. People don't like to lose. That's fine. But the way he cried when they lost to Raptors, it's not acceptable.
I personally, that was a highlight of my year. Like, I got engaged that year as well.
Go in the locker room and cry. Like, don't cry in front of all the cameras. Like, I get it. You want to win badly, and that Kawhi shot was also a highlight of my life as well.
That was insane. That was probably one of the best shots of
How can it bounce on the rim that many times, then wait a little bit? Everyone's like this.
I mean, literally, everyone in the crowd was just like bobbing up and down. Like, it was ridiculous.
It was like that Happy Gilmore thing where the ball was like going side to side.
Yeah, exactly that. It was exactly that.
You know what? It was actually a Happy Gilmore moment, to be fair. I'll give you that one.
It was so good. Even Kawhi was happy about that. Showed some emotion.
Obviously, Celtics Podcast, OKC Thunder fan. Is there, I tried to think earlier, and I don't really, because it's a West and East thing. It's not without going too depth into it, I can't really think of much. But is there any games against the Celtics that you remember watching, or is there any moments of the Thunder facing the Celtics?
We beat you last time, right?
Apart from that,
NBA Sundays, Chris Paul was on fire in that game.
Well, that was a close game as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a close game. 1 point.
Yeah.
We had the ball, and I think Schroeder or Chris Paul down the strip.
Yeah.
Good Sunday, though.
That was a good Sunday. So, like we said at the start, mate, we've got a little segment thing we want to do, like a little game. I was thinking earlier, what can I do? What can I put you through your test on? So I've come up with something kind of cool. I've got something for Nate as well, but I'm going to flip it to you as you're the guest first. So I've got a start, bench and trade situation.
Okay, yeah.
So I'll give you 3 players, start one, bench one, trade one. Just a little bit why and stuff like that. So your 3 players. Me and Nathan talking earlier, I said, what should I do? Should I do current players or all time? And I looked at the current players and I thought, and I looked at the all time and it was that was the curveball. So your 3 players are Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. Going back a little bit to the decision that split the band up, what would you do?
I start Kevin Durant. Trade James Harden, bench Russ. I don't think Russ would like it, but Kevin Durant starts in the order.
Who would you trade? Who would you trade Harden for? I mean, you get in this scenario. We're going to say that. I think that's fair, isn't it, Tom? I think we can say that, right? So in that scenario, who would you trade?
Anyone in the league?
For? Anyone in the league?
That's a good question.
It's a difficult one because there's so much talent.
on Giannis. You got to be like a little bit realistic with it. That's why it's so hard. But yeah.
So I've got KD, right?
You've got KD.
I'd take a nice point guard. If Westbrook's on the bench, I'd probably take Chris Paul, something like that.
You keep him.
Obviously, if he wasn't in my team, I'd take Chris Paul. If I could take somebody else, Trae Young probably.
Yeah.
Obviously, college Oklahoma can come to us.
Yeah, exactly. He'd like that. Not far from home. I like that. That's a good situation. I said to Nate that I've got to be honest. I would probably do the same, but maybe keep hold of Harden and get rid of Westbrook, because you've got a I don't know. It's hard to say, but I'd probably keep Harden in the sense of, you know, if KD's down, you've still got that explosiveness to get to the rim, to pull up at any time you shoot. Where I think Westbrook's quite reliant on getting to the rim.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
but like you said,
you can go wild with who you want to trade him for, because, like you said, I could go, I want Giannis or LeBron or what have you. But
to be realistic,
I just like a nice point guard, and then as Trae Young's young, KD will take the ball and do what he wants. Give it to him sometimes. Things like that.
Yeah, I respect that 100%. I'll probably agree with you, to be fair. So obviously, it's a Celtics podcast. I can't shy away from that one. Nate, I'm going to throw it to you. This is probably, I know exactly, it's going to be the hardest decision you're going to have to make. The start bench trade, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Marcus Smart.
Oh, that is a toughie. Okay, well, I mean, if we're going...
I was brutal to Matt, so I had to be brutal to you too, right?
That's fair. I think I'd start Jason, just because, I mean, he's going to be an MVP in the next 3-4 years. I can swear on that. I would bench Jaylen. And I'd trade Marcus. But what I would do, I'd be very sneaky. I'd be sneaky with the trade, right? I would trade him to one team in a 3-team trade. I'd trade him to one team. They would have to trade him to another. And then we would give something else to the third team. We would then get Marcus back, and we would keep the three all together. That's what we would do. But no, if I had to, though, obviously, I mean, it'd be a tough decision. But if Marcus, if I had to, I would trade Marcus, unfortunately, just because I think JB and
no loyalty.
Jason, no
loyalty in the game.
We need this banner 18. We need this banner 18. So I would take in Marcus's place. Who would I go for? That is a great question. I think
it's the same with what Matt said, though. It depends what you've got around it already.
Yeah, well, the one thing that we don't have as the Celtics at the moment is like a dominant center. So I would probably, take AD. I'd probably take Anthony Davis. In that scenario.
Do you think he'll stay at the Lakers this year?
No. I reckon if they win the chip, he'll probably stay. If they don't, then I think he'll leave. I do. People are saying he's going to go back to Chicago. I don't think he's going to go to Chicago. Yeah. He is a Chicago-born and bred guy, isn't he? It would be a bad move, unless Chicago got something in their locker, which they know they're going to get, which AD is kind of enticed to, being close to home. Kind of, they might be adding a couple more weapons around him. You never know, but I mean,
I think if he actually went to Chicago, that'd be worse than him leaving the Pelicans. For me personally,
I think, to be honest, I mean, him being in LA anyway is a bit of a cop out. I think it's the same with Durant going to Golden State. I think it's just a cop out. You know what I mean? Going to a team which is stacked. That is stacked.
But obviously, we're not salty. We're not salty because he didn't come to the Celtics.
Yeah, but to be fair, I mean, obviously, I would have loved to have had him. But let's be real. I mean,
it was rubbish.
He was only going to be a door. We were going to be a doorstop to him. He would have been 1 year and done. He would have been 1 year and done with the Celtics. So I mean, it's pointless because we would have had to trade away. I guarantee we would have had to trade away Jason. Jason wouldn't have been there. We would have had to get rid of Gordon because of his contract. I mean, we would have had to get rid of so many assets, so many picks just to get part-time.
OKC did. They went all or nothing with Paul George for the year. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then ended up re-signing him, and they've got bundles of picks now.
Yeah.
So you're in a good position. You're in a good position where, you know, a couple of years ago, Boston, we were in a good position with our picks and stuff. Obviously, we finessed Danny Ainge, the god himself.
Yeah.
Finessed the Philadelphia 76ers. He does it all the time. I love Danny Ainge, but I mean, like like Tom said earlier, I mean, I love this Celtics team at the moment, even though we're not, I wouldn't class us as full championship contenders. I mean, in the East, I reckon we could, I mean, if we can get past Milwaukee, I honestly believe we could get to the finals, but it's,
in the Shaq, you're getting swept 4-0 by the 76ers.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I can promise you. Philadelphia in the playoffs. Philadelphia in the playoffs are absolute bottle jobs. They really are. So, I mean, yeah, obviously they've got the handle on us this season. They've was it 3-1, 2-1? I can't remember. But they're
I think they won.
Yeah, it's 3-1. I think. Yeah. So obviously we're behind in that. But like we said earlier, like, playoff basketball is completely different. Yeah. Completely different.
And we've been there. And we've been there and done it. Like I messaged you, like with the Sixers, been there and done it. With the Bucks, we've been there and done it. With the Raptors, we've been there and done it. And we did it with a whole different sort of team. Where, like with this team, I don't know about you, but I honestly don't actually know what to expect. Which is like what I was saying earlier. Do I think it would carry on? I'm not sure. I hope it does because that's what I want to see.
But I think the reason for that is because of last season, it was so like that was going to be our year. Like everyone, even like Laker fans and like everyone thought, you know what, the Celtics are stacked to hell this year. They could actually win it all. But obviously that didn't pan out. So anything now is kind of, to me, anything now is a plus. I mean, we're doing better now than we did last season. It goes to show when you've got a guy like Kemba in your team, who, you know, he just facilitates a lot of stuff. Jalen, up in his performances, Jason just absolutely killing it. Yeah. I mean, it goes to show that changing room, that locker room last season was just too toxic. Like it was not good. It was not good at all.
It is just wide open this year. Kawhi has just like set the league like wide open.
Yeah, 100%.
Because obviously everyone thought it was going to go Lakers, goes Clippers, takes Paul George.
Yeah,
I'd still fancy the Clippers to beat Lakers in 7.
So do I. It's not because I hate the Lakers, right? I do hate the Lakers, but I mean, I honestly believe in a 7-game series, you know, the Clips would take them. I honestly believe that. I mean, I'm not being funny. Even if Boston, say if we had the chance to play them in a 7-game series, like in the final, it had to be in the finals, obviously, but I think we'd beat them. If you look at the couple of games that we played against them. Obviously, one of the games, the refereeing was absolutely diabolical. Like, you've seen the clip of Jaylen Brown's where they said he was out of bounds. He was miles in. He was miles in, and it was ridiculous. It was crazy. But like, I do think that, you know, it's Kawhi has changed the face of like moving on. Everyone's moving over to the West, so the East is completely.
I still like Toronto in the East. I think. No offense to you guys.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. Honestly, I agree.
Lowry, like Van Vliet's great on the big stage. Norman Powell, they've got a good team, man.
Look at Siakam. Like he was most improved last year, and like you could say he's improved even more so again now. And I think it's more apparent now than ever because Kawhi has gone. So you're seeing like last year we saw how great he was, but we're seeing it more so now because. You haven't got that Kawhi to look at.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So, well, I mean, we've got one more little game for you, Matt, before we stop the pod. So, I mean, so what we've done is we've tried to think of something which we can kind of open up to all of our guests that come on. So what we're doing is that you've got a fantasy draft. Okay, so you are the GM of the Thunder. You get basically a fantasy draft, so you get pick of anyone in the league. Which one player are you going to choose to build your franchise around. I kind of got an idea who you're going to pick. But I shall tell you what, we'll open up a little bit more. We'll say you've got 5. You can pick your starting 5 in your fantasy draft. Who's going to be starting and why?
Great question. There's so much choice, man. I'm taking Chris Paul as my starting point guard.
Okay.
I think what he's done this year, is huge for Shea going forward, Dennis Schroeder going forward. Even if we trade him at the end, which a lot of people want because his money's through the roof. Yeah. I just think he's the glue for everybody in that.
Would you not take Steph?
Yeah.
Say again?
Would you not take Steph Curry? Fit Steph Curry?
I like Steph, but peak Steph Curry, obviously.
There we go. We've got you thinking now.
It's too hard to pick. No, I'm sticking with my guy, CP3.
I like about that. Just another thing.
Can't not take Bron, obviously.
Yeah. You're going to take LeBron.
Got to fit LeBron in. We've got to fit KD in.
Okay. There's your 3. So you got your power. You've got KD. You've got your point guard. Where are you going next?
I need a centre.
You need a centre, yeah.
I'm going with Jokic.
Yeah, the facilitator.
Yeah, I like his game. It could obviously do with losing a bit of timber on that. He's not the most athletic guy, but he can facilitate, score.
Stretch the floor.
Yeah.
Because I think what we'll do as well, with your starting 5, we're going to get all of the guest starting 5s and we're going to do a 2K sim.
Really?
you got to pick these wisely. So we're going to do a 2K sim tournament at the end of the season, at the end of this season of the podcast. And we're obviously we'll stream the games so you can watch them. But you've got to pick wisely. So
what have I got so far?
So you've got
Chris Paul.
Yep.
Yeah, happy with that. Bron.
Then you got Bron,
KD,
Kevin Durant, Jokic. So you need a shooting guard.
Klay Thompson.
Okay.
That's my guy.
The ultimate 3-point scorer.
Oh, he's ridiculous. I've missed him this year.
Yeah, I think the whole league has, to be fair, and especially the Warriors.
What 5 are you used to picking?
Well, so at the end of the season of the podcast, we're going to reveal ours. So you could probably guarantee. We'll give you a little clue. They're probably going to be heavily Celtics based. So you can expect
nothing else.
Yeah. Expect nothing less. But obviously, loads of people are going to pick your LeBrons and stuff like that. So, but yeah,
I'll give you a spoil. I won't be picking LeBron.
You have Giannis above LeBron?
He'll be in there, possibly. I don't know.
Well, going by the 2K fantasy draft, Tom, you need to sort something out because you got lots of round.
Mate, do you know what? Shout out to my guys. Actually, we're just talking today, booting season 2 of the 2K Fantasy League. Obviously, I won't be doing it this year. It's too much hassle for me. Knocked out first round. My reputation is in tatters, so I've just gone I've done what every great person does when they have a mediocre career. They just flip straight over into the media. So I'm going to be hosting it this year. So that's going to be kind of fun. But yeah, going on 2K, guarantee you right now, Jason Tatum. I picked him in the first round. I got flat for it, and he was top 10. I think I picked him at 8. I would do that again, 100%. Tatum is in my starting 5, no matter where I am or what situation I'm in. That kid is just something else.
Yeah, I agree. Jason will be. You did take him quite high, to be fair. And I think everyone was there, what's happening here? You had so many players on the board, but yeah, Jason's going to be in my starting 5 anyway as well. But yeah, man, Matt, honestly, it's been great having you on.
Yeah,
anytime at all, man. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been good to just chat basketball, chat a bit about yourself, how you got into the game. That's what it's all about. It's interesting. Me and Tom wanted to do this season all based on how you got into basketball, just because, there's so many people out there which you wouldn't necessarily put, they like basketball. It's crazy that how far the game is spread over here and how many people are watching it now. And even some of the teams that are getting followings that, I'm sure there's a band of Atlanta Hawks fans out there somewhere in the UK. But I mean, it's amazing, and obviously we really appreciate you coming on.
No, anytime, man. I really enjoyed it, and obviously good luck with the show going forward. And I'll come back anytime.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, and like, of course, best of luck to you and the team and stuff. Like, hopefully we all as a collective get through this tough time, and you and your family and stuff stay safe, and you and the guys are safe. And if football returns, I wish you all the best with your promotion bid and stuff. And I'll look forward to chatting to you again.
I appreciate it.
100%. Well, again, Matt, no doubt I'll see you at a Cardiff game at some point.
Sure.
When the season comes back up, I'll drop you a message. We can have a little beer. Probably talk some basketball as well. But obviously, we'll go watch a game. But appreciate it, Matt. Really, really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Matt. Appreciate it. Thank you, buddy.
So that's the end of this week's That UK Celtics podcast. We're back next week with another episode, and be sure to like, subscribe, review, and share the pod. But until next time, people, peace.